Okay, I want to do a quick video on matrices. I don't think I have one on my channel, but I decided to make one. So, what you see on the screen is two equations, and this is considered to be a system of equations. So, a system of equations is basically when you are considering two or more equations at the same time. System of equations. I was trying to write and talk at the same time. Um, so if you have two or more equations and you consider them at the same time, to find the solution, you're looking for the place where they cross, right? So if I was to graph both of these equations that's on my screen right now, both of these create a line. If you were to graph them, there will probably be a place where they cross. And the place where they cross would be the solution. It's the ordered pair where they meet, basically. So, in order to solve a system, you can use a matrix, okay? But there are some key things that we need to know about a matrix. So, a matrix is basically set up, you use these little boxes or brackets. I don't know if you want to call them boxes or brackets. Make them a little bit bolder. But you use these little brackets, and then you put basically just the numbers into the matrix. So for this system, I'm gonna put a 2 because that's the coefficient that's in the first equation. Then I see a -1, then I see a -5. Then for the second equation, I see a 1, I see a 1, I see a -1. Now see how the numbers match up to what I put into the matrix? So that's how you basically do a system or a matrix for a system of equations. You just take the numbers and you put them into this little box. Now, sometimes, especially when you look online, you may see like a little bar that's inside the matrix. That's basically like your equal sign. So if I wanted to put this system of equations into a matrix, this is what it would look like. Um, Let me do another one. And I'm pulling these off my screen. 2x plus y. This is a system. And then -5x plus 3y is equal to 7. And if someone told you to make this into a matrix, you would say, okay, I can do that. Let me just take the numbers, -2, 1, 4, -5, 3, 7. Close my brackets right here, and you could have a little bar in between like that. Okay, this is a matrix. The bar is not really necessary. You'll see it if you look online, if you look in a book or a if you're dealing with the equations, because you could set up a matrix that's not an equation, but if you see a matrix set up and it's coming from an equation, a system of equations, you'll see that little bar there. And that basically just tells you where the equal sign is, right? So when you look at a matrix, the first column is like your X, the second is like your Y, and then equals whatever the number is over here, right? So that's the way your matrix is set up. So simple, simple. Let's go. And another thing you should understand how to do also is, let's say, um, I'm completely making up stuff right now. So let's say if they give you a matrix, this right here is a matrix, and they give you this, you should also be able to go backwards, right? So you know the first column is X, then you have Y, and then just the number at the end. If I told you to write this into an equation, what you see is a matrix. If you wanted to write it into an equation, you would do this. So 4x minus, that's 1y, or you can just say minus y, is equal to, because you see the bar, 3. That's the first equation. And then the next one would be 5x minus 7y equal 4. So just want to know how to go back and forth from a system of equations to a matrix. Now, another important thing is that you understand how to tell me the size of the matrix. So for this first one right here, this red one that you see on the bottom, this one right here. So the size of this matrix is always going to be the number of rows times the column. So this is a 2. Just thinking about it. Look how slow the 2 is written. So this is a 2 by 3 because it has 2 rows and 3 columns. Okay, 2 by 3 matrix. This also, the one in the black, this is also a 2 by 3 matrix because it has 2 rows and 3 columns. Okay, if we were to, let's say if you had a matrix that looks like this, completely making up stuff. Let's say if I had a matrix that looks like this. All right, my bar is right here. Okay, the size of this matrix would be a 3 by 4 because it has 3 rows and 4 columns. Okay, that's the size of the matrix. If I was to take this matrix and turn it into a system, since I have 4 columns, I have an X, I have a Y, now I have a Z, equal sign, and then my solid number at the end. So if I change this into a system, it will be 4x plus 5y plus 5z is equal to negative 7. Make sense? 7x plus y minus 2z is equal to 1. Negative x plus 8y plus 3z, almost made a mistake, 3z is equal to 2. Okay, so that's what you would do to change this into a system. If for whatever reason, I want to show you one more thing because I've seen this happen before too. Let's say okay, let's say I have this right here, and the problem is asking you to turn this into a matrix, right? So you have X, you have Y, you have Z. So for the first row, I have negative 3 for the X, 1 for the Y, 1 for the Z, 7 on the other side of the equal sign. Then I have negative 4 for the X. I don't have a Y. It just goes to 4Z. You notice that? So if I don't have a Y, I'm going to put a 0 there for the Y. So if you're ever missing a variable, you have to put a 0 in place. And then I have 4 here for the Z, and it's equal to negative 1. And now for the next row right here, this is there's no X. So I put a 0 there for the X, and then I have 5, and then I have 3, and then 8 on the other side of the equal sign. So this is my 3 by 4 matrix. Okay, so now that you know how to turn a system into a matrix, now you know how to solve. You can go to the next step, and that is to solve a system. So in order to solve a system, you have to understand how to change it into a matrix, and that's what we've been doing this whole time. So at this point, I am going to solve a system. So let me clean this screen up a little bit. I'm going to take some of this stuff out of here just to make it nice and neat. So I want to don't want to turn any of this. I want to solve this. So I have two different parts here. I'm going to solve this first one. So I'm looking here. I want to solve this system. In other words, I want to know what x is equal to. I want to know what y is equal to. And I can do that by looking in my calculator to do that. And in order to put this into your calculator, you have to know the size. You have to know how to put it, how to put the system into a matrix, and you have to know the size of the matrix. So I need to solve this. So I'm going to go to my graphing calculator. So I'm going to take a little screenshot of what this matrix looks like. Probably come back to it. And so you need to go to matrix. So if you look on your graphing calculator, I'm going to show you on this mobile version of the calculator that I have. So matrix is right here. So it's at the top of the X inverse button. So in order to get to matrix, you have to press the second button to get to it. Okay, if you ever see the words on top of each one of your buttons in the calculator, that means you have to press the second button to get there. Sometimes you have to press the alpha, but in this case, you have to press the second. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to press second X inverse, and it's going to get me to a screen that looks like this. So you have three columns. You have names, math, and then you have edit. You need to go over to edit, and you need to basically pick one of these matrices. It doesn't matter which one you pick, A, B, C, D, it doesn't matter. You can pick any of them. I'm going to pick B for the sake of this video. And the first thing that they're going to ask you is they're going to ask you, how many rows do you have in your matrix? Now, if you go back to the matrix that we did, this is a 2 by 3 matrix. So there's 2 rows, 3 columns. So let's go back. It asks you how many rows. You say 2, press enter. Then it asks you how many columns. You say 3, enter. And what it does is it's going to put a 2 by 3 matrix in your calculator so you can enter the numbers. So I'm going to enter the numbers one by one into my calculator. These are all the numbers that were in that matrix that I put on the screen. I want to make sure I put the right numbers. Yep. Okay. Now from here, I'm going to go to my main screen. The matrix is already in there. Okay. Matrix B looks like this. So now I need to go to my home screen. The home screen, you just press second in mode and it'll take you back to the home screen. Now you got to go back to matrix. It's like, what? We got to go back? Yes, you got to go back. So press second matrix. And we are now trying to solve the matrix. So what you need to do is go to math, and you're going to go down to RREF. RREF stands for Reduce Row Echelon Form. Reduce row echelon form. So reduce row echelon form basically puts your matrix in a form that actually solves the system. So you got to go down to RREF. I'm going to go back real quick so you can see something. There's REF and then there's RREF. You have to go to RREF, reduce row echelon form. So make sure you do that. Go back. So RREF, you see it puts RREF into the home screen, and now you have to tell the calculator what matrix you want to solve. And remember, we put our matrix in matrix B. So I go back to matrix. I'm going to pick the name now, and the name that I'm going to pick is B. And see, it puts RREFB into my calculator. You press enter, and it's going to give you the solution over here on the right hand side. And notice the solution is written with decimals. Most times we don't want it with decimals, we want it in fraction form. And the same way you change any number to fraction form, we go to math and press fraction, and then it'll put your answer in fraction form. So negative 4 over 3 and 7 over 3 is your solution. So let's talk about what that solution means. So reduce row echelon form. Reduce row echelon form is when you have your ones in the diagonal, like you see on the screen. You see your ones in the diagonal right here. So reduced row echelon puts ones in the diagonal and then zeros everywhere else. So notice there's zeros right here. And your solution is basically the numbers that are all the way on the right hand side. So how do you read this? Let's remember how you change a system of equations or a matrix into a system of equations. So remember, your first column is x, your next column is y, and then you have the solid numbers on the other side. So what if I change this into an equation? It would be 1x, there's no y, so you wouldn't put y, then you have equals -4/3. And then for the next row, there's no x, but there is a y. So you get 1y is equal to 7/3. So when you change a reduced row echelon matrix into a system of equations, it tells you what the solution is going to be. So your solution is x is equal to -4/3, and then y is equal to 7/3. So reduced row echelon form does that. You want ones in the diagonal and zeros everywhere else, and then your numbers all the way on the right hand side. So let's do it again. Let's delete this. Clear all this out. I'm going to go back to the screen. I want to do this one more time. So let's solve. We solved this one. Let's zero in on this one. So we want to solve this one now. This is also a 2x3 matrix. 2x3 matrix. I'm going to put this into my calculator. It's a 2x3 matrix. So let's go back here. We're going to go to matrix. We're going to go to edit. I'm going to edit C, and it's going to ask me what size is your matrix. It is a 2x3, and it puts a 2x3 matrix into your calculator. Then you enter the numbers. I'm going to enter the numbers that were in the matrix that was on my screen. And so everything is in there right. And so you're going to go to your home screen. So I press second and mode in order to get to quit. And so it goes to my home screen. Now I need to do the RREF of matrix C. So I press second matrix, go to math, RREF. Then I go to matrix again, and I'm gonna pick the name that I want to see, and press enter. And it's gonna give me my answer. In this case, my answer did not need to be changed into a fraction form because it ended up being just whole numbers. So your answer here is going to be x is equal to -5 and y is equal to -6. Okay. And that is my quick lesson on how to solve a system of equations. We only did this with 2x3, but understand that you can also do this with a larger matrix. Like this 3x4, you could put this 3x4 matrix into your calculator. You can do RREF of this matrix, and it will tell you what the solution would be, and the solution will be all the way on the right-hand side. So there you go.